Why GATT is essential in point of view of study?
Ma'am, GATT means General Agreements on Tariff and Trade, and
Good.
means GATT is first constituted in 1947 with 23 different countries, and India is a part of at that time. And means only GATT is only related for trade and tariff rules creation. Uh, that much, ma'am.
Okay, that is correct. While we're talking about, first of all, while we're talking about, in the 18th and 19th century, the 18th and 19th century most probably focuses to the domestic trade. They are not very much focused to the international trade system. Most of the countries are not well developed, you can say that. Because of they are not well developed, that's why they are not focuses to the international trade format. The when we're talking about in the early 2000 or early 2K system, then or early 20s, people are actually aware about the international trade system, where they could able to understood that if the international trade system supports any country, it could able to create a large amount of profit for the country, and basically for that particular countries who's having the currency format or currency denomination is less than to the international currency. Fine. Okay. So
ଏଇଟା ମ୍ୟାମ୍
that's why
1957 to 1983 ଯାକେ ଚାଲିଥିଲା।
sorry ମୁଁ ବୁଝିପାରିଲିନି କ'ଣ କହିଲେ।
1947 to 1983 ପର୍ଯ୍ୟନ୍ତ।
Yes, 1983 ପର୍ଯ୍ୟନ୍ତ ନୁହଁ, 19 I think 93 ପର୍ଯ୍ୟନ୍ତ ଦେଖନ୍ତୁ, ଲାଷ୍ଟ ମିଟିଂ ଟା ଥିବ ଯୋଉଟା ଆମର 1993 ପର୍ଯ୍ୟନ୍ତ ଥିବ।
Yes, ma'am. 1983 to 1993, ma'am.
Yes, because the last round is in 93, and last round is the deciding round jodi ame kahuchu. It was the deciding round where the GATT was being converted to the WTO.
Ma'am, how GATT is converted to WTO, ma'am?
That I will discuss. Just a minute, because I'll just join with my laptop so that I could able to show you the
Ma'am,
PPT.
where the 8th round was at which place it was held? 8th round?
8th round, I think it was a Uruguay round. It was
Sorry?
being discussed yesterday. Uruguay round.
Yes,
The last round is called Uruguay round. Like all of the round was being established with the name also. Like the place, if it is performed in Turkey, then the round was called as Turkey round. If it was performed in Uruguay, the round is called as Uruguay round. If it was in Anaya, it is called Anaya round. Fine. So, okay. Give me 1 minute, just wait. Okay, let me share. Okay, one question you have asked, that is how this GATT was being converted to WTO. That I want to answer. While we're talking about, that is a huge number of countries being participated in GATT. Huge number of countries, which is the last round. You can see the countries number changes to 123. That means in the maximum countries of the world are being part of the GATT. Now, when there is a huge number of countries are being participated in GATT, now the question is, who are the country who are participated in GATT? Those countries who have international trade. If I am having a country and I do have a international trade system, then only I am evenly wants to be a part of GATT. Otherwise, why to be a part of GATT? Got it? So in 93, when there are a large number of countries a part of GATT, in that time period, the trade system of the or international trade system supposed to be in a very high position. Now, when it is in a high position, or it was creating a large number of, trade in that time period, you required a body who's supposed to control this. Fine. It was not an act. It was not an act who was supposed to control it. If an act was controlled, then it was not required, or you cannot say that act will be able to control a huge number of population. Got it? So for that, what happened? You required a kind of a country or a kind of a body, or a kind of a people who could able to control them. Why it is not shown to me? Okay. So, Jemtiki, one more example I can cite in that. You could see that RBI Act came first, IRDA Act came first. My PPT is visible, Pilamani? Tikke dekhi diyo?
Not now, ma'am.
No, ma'am. Yes, yes.
Yes, ma'am. Now just ma'am, just going.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
मैम जो 1947 93 जो डेट सब अछि
हाँ.
ये पठे देबे ऑफिशियल ग्रुप रे
कौन पठी देबी पूछी परलिनी?
काली जो लिखि देले ना 1947 1947 to 93 पर्यंत
हाँ.
तो सेटा टिके
GAT rounds.
आगे मैम
Okay. It was not there in my PPT. That's why you're asking. Okay, I will.
Ma'am,
give it to you
where the
honestly.
second round was held?
I will give all these round detail at your group, because if we will discuss that first and second round, third round, then might be it will not, going ahead. Because we need to complete because I left only 2 classes or 3 classes. So we need to complete all this. So that's why something to say, but we need to move on. Fine. So whatever 8 different rounds are there, and what is the implementation of that I will share in your group right away on Monday. Fine. So the question is why the GATT was converted to WTO. The basic answer is when there is a huge number of business, huge number of trade, huge number of people being participated in one particular platform. So what requires? You cannot control them with some kind of, a kind of a meeting, a kind of a general body meeting. You required a kind of a, institution who are the controlling authority of that particular, business. So that's why in the year 1995, the GATT was converted to WTO. WTO is very popularly known as World Trade what?
Organization.
Very good. So it was called World Trade Organization. So what exactly the establishment of WTO? What exactly the WTO work? What exactly the WTO wants to do with the establishment of himself? That means once GATT was abolished, then WTO start. Now, WTO have certain kind of ideology. First one, WTO always try to enhances the international trade, system. Now, how to enhance? If you reduce the trade barriers, and plus, if you make, create in between the countries, that, if you go to the globalization format, if you go to identify selling aspect in the global platform, then it would be helpful to the all population of the world. Apart from that, that individual country may earn a maximum number of benefit out of that. That is a message that a WTO has to liberate. So if I'm talking about what exactly the work of WTO, so I'm going to that. So that particular, WTO's all work was resemblance of GATT, principles. Now, if you remember, in the rounds, I told you that GATT have 8 rounds, whereas first 6 rounds are all about creating rules or creating tariff, creating trade-related rules or creating trade-related tariffs. So why these rules are required? Because there is a huge, it's a platform of international or globalization platform. That's why you require, or you need to control the trade system. That's why you have to create certain kind of trade rules, like what about licensing, about the taxation, about how custom clearance was being made in the national and domestic and international level. What should be the required, exim policy that has to be followed by the people or the companies who wants to sell their product in the international market. These are certain kind of, trade related rules that is being established by the GATT. But if you see the last three rounds, in the last three rounds, so first day, the organizations are being identified with the anti-dumping measures. If you remember, I told you that the organization, sorry, the
Yes, ma'am.
yes, the last three rounds, first jinsa create hitila, that is called anti-dumping. Now, what is anti-dumping? Anti-dumping measures. Or you can say that anti-dumping, agreements.
Create monopoly.
No, when one state wants to sell its product at a lower price in a country.
Anti-dumping means control monopoly. That is absolutely correct. Now, the agreement of tariff under the article number, I think 6, this particular anti-dumping measures are being identified, where it says that anti-dumping measures included the like provisions where the government tried to take certain kind of, action against the people who are making certain kind of, monopolistic behavior or monopoly behavior. So these particular anti-dumping measures are related to only trade and commerce when it was came under the GATT agreement and all. Now, what exactly these anti-dumping measures that is being taken by GATT? They GATT tried to set certain kind of anti-dumping agreements where they try to make certain rules, or you can say that set of rules which allowing the different kind of members of that particular, people who are part of GATT. Like in that sixth round, there are number of countries who are registered. It is 123, and the all 123 countries has to obey the dumping measures. So that means what? The domestic industries has to follow certain kind of international trade commission, where if they will follow any kind of, monopoly behavior, then the international trade will be debarred them from the, from the trade system of trade system in the international platform. So in any domestic any domestic organization, if they practices monopoly, then what happened? WTO will debar them. GATT will debar them to make international trade. So that is called anti-dumping measures. What else was there? How would a major decision that is being taken by GATT in the the last round, that was implementation of IPR. So we all know that implementation of IPR is subject to, give protection to the innovation of someone's or individual innovation. So what is IPR? IPR is called as intellectual property rights. Under IPR, there are three different parts. Cornerstone trademarks. Under IPR, we have patents. Under IPR, we have copyrights. So when there is a huge number of population, make international trade, make international or, take a facility of going internationally, in that time period where technology was supposed to be very high, in that time period, what happened? We normally seen that people will make some certain kind of copy and paste activity. Fine. Now, what is copy and paste activity? That means someone is making a, innovation. I try to adopt that innovation, saying this is of mine. So to make restriction, to give protection, not restriction, I could able to say that to give protection, it is one of the major work of WTO or GATT, that the innovator must be feel protected. G innovation Korichi, the person who made innovation, to create all these patents or to create a kind of innovation, to create a poem, create a technology, these people has to be, certainly protected from this kind of, copy and paste, environment. For that, GATT was prepared IPR. Through IPR, if it is a, if it is a software or it is a calculation, it is being patentized. That means the owner of that particular product, if he wants to patentize that under the GATT, then they have to pay a nominal amount and follow all the rules regulation of GATT to make it patentized. If once it is patentized, then you could not make a copy of that. For an example, a product's diameter is being patentized. You might be have a mobile phone whose diameter is being, and the mobile phone is claimed as the slimmest mobile phone in the world. Now, how he could able to claim it if he was not patentized that particular diameter of that particular mobile phone? If it is patentized, then no one can copy and make the same diameters product and say that I am slimmest. He has to go one step below to that. That means he has to create his own innovation. Then only he could able to say it. Same as to if you make a patent on a particular calculation. ଯେମିତି କି ଆମେ ଜାଣିଛୁ କି ଯେମିତି Einstein have the maximum patent on the calculations. ସେ ବହୁତ ଗୁଡେ calculation invent କରିଥିଲେ and that is being patentized by him. ସେମିତି there are not by him but after that by his family members it was being patentized. ସେମିତି if you as an ଯେମିତି କି ତମେ ଧର you like 100 ଜଣ ତମେ participants ଅଛ and if some of you is innovating certain kind of calculation, he also can go to the WTO website and ask for how to patent it, and they will give you all the information to make patentize it, and you could suppose to patent your innovation through WTO. Same as to copyright. If you have an innovation of literature, for an example, you're a great poet or maybe you're a great writer, or might be you're a great innovator in terms of literature, you could able to save your poem, your taglines, your innovations on writing, on books, that you could able to save through the copyright system. That is also initiation of IPR. Apart from patent and copyright, one more thing was there, that is called trademarks. Trademarks normally protect certain kind of symbols, certain kind of marks, so that is being being protected to be copied. That means what? If Tata company's trademark, if there is a Tata company trademark, you cannot copy that trademark and say a similar kind of a trademark you could able to use for your company, saying this is mine, because these trademarks are the trade locator of that company who is actually preparing. जैसे कि आप देख, you could able to see that there is apple which is a little bit bitten by someone else, and that is the logo of the Apple company. So that means what? You cannot place the same kind of apple with the same kind of bite and show it is mine. You cannot do that because it is already being secured through this IPR Act. Yes, you could able to do, you do have apple, but your bite from you could able to make a bite from somewhere else. It was not exactly from that that particular part. Fine. So that logo you could use for your company, but you cannot use the similar logo what Apple company is using. That is also protected through the IPR Act. Now, one more thing that we need to discuss, that is what are the GATT major principles. GATT's major principle was trade without discrimination. In participating nations opened the market impartially to every other members. According to GATT, once a nation and its largest trade allies that agreed to reduce the tariff, that reduced or reduction automatically become applicable to all the GATT members. That means that should not be any kind of discrimination. Just a minute, Pilamani. Hello? Okay. Again, sir, kuntu. Again. Hello. Madam, good morning. ओहो हाँ 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 ମୁଁ ବୁଝିଲି ବୁଝିଲି ମୁଁ ତାର କେତେବେଳେ ଅଛି ମ୍ୟାଡାମ ଓକେ 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 ମୁଁ କରୁଛି ଆଜ୍ଞା ଥ୍ୟାଙ୍କ ୟୁ ପିଲାମାନେ ଗୋଟେ ମିନିଟ୍ ଖାଲି Okay, sorry for this disturbance. So that means major principle of GATT is to trade without any discriminations. So that was been how it was being implemented without discrimination that I will discuss. Now GATT have certain kind of ideology, that is GATT also act as a whatever the participated country 123 participant country participation or voting right. For an example, there is a particular issue was being raised by one particular country, how the decisions are being made, taken by the maximum votes goes to a particular issue, and that issue, if getting the maximum votes, then the issue are being resolved by that particular community of countries, like voting power through the all the decisions are taken from the GATT, and if it came to the WTO, same policy was being utilized. Now in GATT, one particular country have large number of voting powers. Fine. Now you can ask how. Like if you have more than one custom territory, then you could have more than one voting power. Like in USA have large number of custom territory in the year, if I'm talking about up till 2015, USA have 18 custom territory. Now if you have 18 custom, I'm audible Pilamani?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So if you have 18 custom territory, that means your voting power become 18. Fine. Like
Custom
China,
territory means?
custom territories means, in India, we have only 3 custom territories. Custom territories, if you have a country like in India, we have, our custom territory for the Andaman and Nicobar is different. Custom territory for the union states, like the free states like Goa and Pondicherry, the custom territories are different. So that's why in India we have 3 custom territories. Like that, China have 5 custom territories, Japan has 3 custom territories. That means what? The country do have maximum custom territories, they have maximum voting power. And though countries who have maximum voting power, maybe this particular trade discrimination came to that particular country. That means whatever decision that is being, if I'm openly says that the decisions of GATT, the decisions of WTO is somehow manipulated by USA because it's having maximum voting power. So that discrimination has to be liberated, but it can't be liberated if you say that you have maximum voting power. So it is beyond this paper and pen and paper, but USA have that's why on WTO USA have maximum what you can say power, so that whatever decisions are being taken, it is somehow US decision ame kohuchu. Fine. What are the GATT measures principle? There are three different measures principle that is being followed by GATT. First one, GATT always try to make protection through tariff. Second one, GATT always focuses to homogeneous custom regulation. And third one, GATT always try to focuses to escape clauses which also in place contradicting nation to modify their agreement. And when their domestic producers suffered, they GATT tried to resolve that. First one, that was called protection through tariff. That means what? Eliminate certain kind of monopolistic behavior, monopolistic, atmosphere, so that tariffs are being, given by the GATT. Second one, when GATT was there, it was always focuses to homogeneous custom regulation. Homogeneous custom regulation means similar custom regulations for the international trade system. So it should not be for India, it is different, for Pakistan, it is different, for Sri Lanka, it is different, and for Japan, because it is a developed country, so it is different. You can't do that. You have to make a similar kind of custom regulation for all nations who are being participated in the GATT platform. Third one, if there is any contradicting atmosphere at the domestic level or the domestic producers, then GATT tried to, resolve this contradicting situation. Fine. Now, there are certain roles that is being GATT, make for the international trade. What are the roles are? GATT always try to make basic principles through which international trade is being enhanced. Second one, GATT tried to, cut down in tariff when it is required to accelerate the, trade and commerce in the international platform. Third, GATT brought discrimination in tariff by reducing the trade barriers and regulating the participate or attracting the participants to be a part of that. So GATT is a progressive, format, you can say that, where develops countries are being part of that, then the economic development of countries certainly occurs. Now, when came to the second para question, GATT was a multilateral agreement between several nations of the world that is being regulated international trade. Fine. What question you have asked in the first while the class was start, that is, what is GATT and why it is converted to WTO? The answer is, when there is a huge trade in one platform, you required a body who could able to control it. That's why in the year of 1995, GATT was replaced by WTO, and WTO have more power in terms of functioning the international economic affairs. These are already being discussed. That's why I'm not going to discuss again. Fine. That means why 123 countries power and all. Now came to WTO. Now the word WTO is assembled as or called as World Trade Organization, which is being performed or started in the year of 1995. It is a sole international body who was concerned with provisions of cross-country trade and based in Geneva, Switzerland. Basically, this is an agreement called WTO, which is duly signed and negotiated by member nations of the world and confirmed in their parliaments. In the real sense, WTO is placed where the government of member countries attempt to resolve their trade problems encountered by them during the trade or during the different kind of initiations which is taken by the government. That means what? WTO basically, how we could able to, understood what is WTO. WTO is an organization where if you as a country wants to, facilitate international trade for your organizations, for your companies, then what you have to do, you have to register yourself under WTO. Otherwise, you cannot go and sell your product, your company's product in the international platform. Fine. So understood why WTO is required. For an example, there is a country who wants to sell their products in the international platform. Now, how to sell the product in the international platform without the permission of WTO? For that, the country has to enter to the WTO agreement. Once WTO will allow the country, then only the country's business environment, the country's companies are being able to make trade on the international platform. That's why the establishment of WTO is highly appreciated for the cross countries trade in the international platform, where WTO always encourages countries to make international trade so that the international economy should be enhanced. Fine. So this is for only your information on Feb 24, 2021. WTO's General Council selected 2 times Nigerian Finance Minister to as a Director General, and she is the first woman and the first African to be selected for this position. This is for your general information, nothing else. So what are the different commitments for the India that we need to understood? Then only we could understood how WTO is beneficial for India. Fine. Now, when we're talking about India's commitment to WTO, so tariff lines, that was the first commitment. Second commitment is quantitative restrictions, and third commitment is TRIPS. These are 3 commitments which is made as the Indian commitment or India's commitment to the WTO. Came to the first one. First, what is tariff line? Now, what do you understood by tariff line? The Indian economy tariff, it was being pretended to for the foreign capital and goods to flow into the Indian market. Hence, this tariff version was promised. That means what? This particular tariff line have a basic objective. That objective is India has to follow economic international economic tariffs at their national and domestic level, so that people do have a awareness about this particular international trade lines. Fine. So while you as a company, when you started your business in a domestic or national level, you do have a awareness. If I want to sell my product in an international platform, then these are the economic barriers that or tariffs, trade related rules that I have to follow if I am going to the international trade system. ସେଥିପାଇଁ India କଣ କରିଛି ନା କିଛିଟା Indian international trade tariff को Indian domestic and national trade tariff ସହିତ merge କରିଛି. It is one of the initiation of Indian government that these trade barriers should have to be trade tariffs should have to be identified by the companies so that they are well equipped to sell the product in the international platform. Second one is called quantitative restrictions. Now, what do you understood by quantitative restrictions? Do you have any idea about quantitative restrictions? Pilamane, do you have any idea about quantitative restrictions?
No, ma'am.
Why? What are Jani quantitative restriction?
Quantitative restriction means which quantity you can sell in foreign country. That restriction should be there.
Which quantity you could able to sell in foreign country?
How much
How much
quantity of a
we can
product?
export and how much
Quantity
we
of a
can
product.
import.
How much quantity some country will purchase in the international market, that is maybe fixed.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Anything else? That is actually quantitative restriction means putting restriction on quantitative, selling or quantitative trade. That is what you are saying. That is absolutely correct. Now I'm coming to that. Now, what is quantitative restriction? Now, while we are talking about identification of BOP, that is balance of payment. Now, what is balance of payment? Balance of payment actually means the amount of trade that we made in an international platform. That will be one of the measurement parameter for the identification of your foreign reserves. Fine. Ame kette kette business karuchu in the international platform, kette ame export karuchu, that will be reflection or one particular measure of your BOP calculation or BOP platform, that was called balance of payment. ଯାହାର ଗୋଟେ ଡାଇରେକ୍ଟ ରିଫ୍ଲେକ୍ସନ ଆସେ କାହା ଉପରେ ନା ଫରେନ୍ ରିଜର୍ଭସ୍ ଉପରେ ଆସେ, ଆଣ୍ଡ ତାର ଗୋଟେ ଡାଇରେକ୍ଟ ରିଫ୍ଲେକ୍ସନ ଆସେ ଆପଣଙ୍କର ମନିଟାରୀ ରିଜର୍ଭସ୍ ଉପରେ. ମନିଟାରୀ ରିଜର୍ଭସ୍ means that how much our currency was being identified with the US dollar, which is the maximum used currency in the worldwide. So quantitative restrictions was put in two ways. One is how much we could able to export and how much we could able to import. If you have a very growth symptoms in our country, like in India, we have a growing symptoms. While we are growing symptoms, what exactly we will do, that the quantitative restriction on export and import we will reduce. That means what? If a company want to means to export a large amount of product to the international platform, it is allowed. And if the country wants to import a large amount of product from the international platform, it is also allowed. There is no quantitative restriction because you are having a developed criteria of your own business, or sorry, country. But if there is a financial depression time, that means what? In our country, the GDP was very high. We are certainly found out came along with a very bad inflation. That means the demand of the product increases, so the supply was decreases, and because the demand was there and supply was decreases, that's why the product price are being increased in a huge way, which create fall down the consumption ability of the individual. That's why our whole trade and commerce system is somehow collapsed. Fine. Product price body jauchi, the people are unable to buy the product from the market. That's why the consumption parity, consumption ro jo parity achi, consumption ro jo equation achi, seita komi jauchi. Now, while the consumption equation will drop down, then company's product, what he was expecting to sell within 15 days, seita 30 days re sell hochi. The company who are expecting that my product will sold out in between 2 months, seta 6 mas re soruchi. So that what the commerce, trade and manufacturing unit was highly infected in this particular time. Now, when you are highly infected, you have to make certain kind of quantitative restriction on the import. That means what? If you make export, so inflow of foreign currency will be there to your country. Got it? If I will sell something in an international platform, I earn in US dollar. So that means what? The inflow of foreign currency came to your country, which is, nevertheless, it is a symptoms of good economic condition. But same while if I will, exporting products, if I import product from the international trade, then I have to pay a huge amount because CTP kono outflow of money hochi kouthre US dollar re. That's why the government of India put certain kind of restrictions on their quantitative restrictions or importing, not in exporting. But certain way re tar gote reverse re be ase ame kettebele restriction we have to put in the export. Seteବେଳେ we have less qualitative product, and remember in India, I mean, normally whatever food products and other products are being cultivated, which are being highly demanded in the world platform, ଆମେ କଣ କରୁନା ଯେତେ qualitative ଜିନିଷ ଅଛି ତାକୁ ଆମେ ମାନେ export କରୁ. We are exporting the product which are having qualitative, and ଯୋଉଗୁଡାକ non qualitative or little bit degraded or compromised quality product, that is being used in India as a semi-luxurious and luxurious, normal product or general product. Fine. If the number of, cultivated product which are highly luxurious, it was very less, then it should not be sold in the or export to the market, because Indian population also required that. You understood my point? My
Ma'am,
point
this
is,
policy is applicable for all the countries?
no, it was this policy was being adopted by the countries by their own virtue. So maybe whatever is being identified and initiated by India, that is not being initiated by China. Or might be whatever, these policies being adopted by India, maybe this policy is not adopted by Nepal, or it was not adopted by Japan. Fine. It was the sole, decision of the country what kind of product they should sold so that they could earn more. So, ajka date re bhi, what product we are using in India, that is a second and third quality product. We are not using first quality product, whether it is a crop, whether garments and all. Sabu jaka first quality product export hochi to the international platform. Jadi apanka first quality product or production कम हैला, ताहले government try to make a quantitative restrictions on this particular export product to the international trade system. Fine. Came to the third, commitment of WTO, to India's commitment towards WTO, that is implementation of STRIPS. That was trade-related intellectual property rights, that is called STRIPS. Government of India always try to follow the amendments through which these STRIPS components has to be restricted for and give protection to the individual innovator. That we already discussed. One more, commitment was there from Indian side, that was called creation of TRIMS and following TRIMS. TRIMS is called as Agreement on Trade-Related Investment Measures. Now, for the developing countries, it has to be allowed, or it was allowed to have some measures to protect foreign investment, some measures to, protect the foreign investment within the country, and it has to be ensured that investment in various product has to be, measured and formulated. One particular example that I have given in this particular, commitment, that is called pharma manufacturing, and other 22 industries have been being dividend payment were required and measures. So government kon korchi tanga dividend payment taku, measures korchi, formulate korchi for the enhancement. So these are certain kind of commitment of India towards the WTO. Okay, before going to this, I will share one more, slide with you. Just a minute. Lavanya, can it be visible? How to get font size body be?
Yes, ma'am. Objectives of World Trade Organization.
Yes. Okay. Okay, what are the basic features of World Trade Organization? We already discussed this. So we will move to the objective of the World Trade Organization. Look to the objective. First objective is the primary aim of WTO is to implement the new World Trade Agreements. So ta under strips stream asuchi. So these are called new trade related agreements, which is being formulated by WTO. Second one, to promote multilateral trade, that is trade among many countries or many nations at a similar time or single time. Third objective of WTO is to promote free trade by abolishing trade barriers and non-trade barriers. Tariff barriers and non-tariff barriers. One of the example of this, like Companies Act, we have Companies Act. Companies Act 56 the kuchu, 71 the kuchu, sorry, 61 the kuchu, 72 the kuchu. Companies Act 86 the kuchu. Then it was revised in 1991. Companies Act time to time get revised by the government of India. Now, why it was revised by government of India? Now, the jette apankara trade change houthibo, trade and commerce change houthibo, jette technological enhancement houthibo, what happened?
କିଗା କାହିଁ ଦେବେ କିଏ କହୁଥିଲା ମୁଁ ନାଇଁ ଜାଣେ
ଦୁଷ୍ମନ୍ତ ମହନ୍ତ ବାବୁ ଆପଣଙ୍କର ଟିକେ ମ୍ୟୁଟ କରିଦିଅନ୍ତୁ ଦୁଷ୍ମନ୍ତ ମହନ୍ତ ଦୁଷ୍ମନ୍ତ I think he was not here. Dusmanta. Very good. I too not able to mute him. Okay. So while we're talking about tariff and non-tariff barriers, it has to be abolished. That would basic example mo apan manku doutile example kon na while we're talking about Companies Act re bi ame bahut time dekhuchu the Companies Act is revised. Why these revisions are there? Because while we're talking about the change of business environment, change of people's requirement, change in technology, it was required to make change on tariffs, rules, regulation. That's why some of the trade barriers, tariff related barriers has to be abolished by the WTO to create the new one. Our objective is to promote world trade in manner that benefits every member in the country. So next one, to ensure that developing countries get a better share in the advantages resulting from the expansion of international trade, and to removal of all hurdles to an open world trading system and use world trade as an effective instrument to boost economic growth, to enhance the competitiveness. I think these are need not to explain, you understood. To remove all hurdles to open the world trade system, to enhance the competitiveness amongst all traders or trading partners so as to benefit the consumers, to expand the utilized world resources in the most optimum manner. That is also one of the look after of WTO, and to improve the level of living for global population and speed of the economic development, and to take special steps for the development of poorer nations or poorest nations. Yes, please.
Ma'am, to expand and utilize world resource in the most optimum manner, it means?
To expand and utilize the world resources in the most optimum manners. For an example, there is a US-based company or UK-based company came to India to use India's natural resources. Fine. Now, there must be a MOU between that company and the country of India to use how much natural resources that company could able to utilize for a stipulated time period of 20 or 30 years. Now, if the company will misutilize the natural resources, so you could able to make a complaint against that particular organization, a particular country on WTO platform, because it is an international trade system. Now, it is one of the major objective of WTO to look after to the particular issue, whether the company was misutilized the natural resources of the Indian natural resources, because it is one of the ideal work of WTO to understood that natural resources are being created with a age of 100. That's why the most optimum manner use has to be maintained to create your product out of the natural resources. You understood, Pila? Je pachauthilo?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So the last one is to the special steps for the development of poorest country. One of the best example regarding to this, when Sri Lanka is suffering from financial issues, challenges in the year of 2022, WTO was being help Sri Lanka by sending a kind of virtue loans, or we can say that is called voluntary loan, which is worth rupees $700,000 million to the country to come out from that financial deficiency. That means what? If a country is a very poor country, for the development also WTO give information to IBAT or World Bank, and the World Bank will supply certain kind of loans to make a development of that poorest countries or poorest nation. That is also a sole initiation of the WTO, which includes in the WTO what objectives. Now came to the different functions of World Trade Organization. Came to the first function, as we all know that the first function is to create and reduces the tariff and non-tariff barriers for the international trade. If it is required, then the tariff is being created. If it is required, the tariff and non-tariff barriers has to be eliminated to enhance the international trade system. How can Roji function? Implementation of WTO agreements, where WTO is supposed to act as an administrating platform to make international trade in a certain smooth way. Third function, cooperating with IMF, cooperating with World Bank in association for the global trade enhancement and creating global trade policies. So it was very much required that International Monetary Fund ho to ya to fir World Bank ho, it has to be looked to the matter of global trade enhancement through creating certain kind of policy which can helpful to the various nations to make their work smoothly. Fourth function, setting trade related dispute among the countries who have dispute amongst themselves. So that's why WTO also called as dispute settlement body. That means if there are 5 countries who are the part of WTO, that means international trade, and they have certain kind of social dispute or cultural dispute or legal dispute or maybe dispute on the borders, dispute on the kind of population and all, କୌଣସି ପ୍ରକାର dispute ହେଇପାରେ. So ସେ dispute ର effect ଟା ତାଙ୍କର trade system ଉପରେ ନ ପଡୁ. That's why it is one of the look after of the World Trade Organization. Providing technical assistance, reviewing the trade related economic policies of the member countries with the help of trade policy review body. That means this TRPS always try to help people or help country to establish and review the economic policy of every member country. Fine. So this is a governing body who try to make a time-to-time revisions and reviewing of the trade-related policies of the countries who are the member countries. Then function is providing technical assistance and guidance related to management of foreign trade and fiscal policy of the nation countries. And the last one is they are acting as a form of trade liberalization. Fine. So it is there. There is a difference between GATT and WTO. All the points are being covered by us. Khali tome dekhi dabo eta. Fine. I will share the notes of third unit, and you will certainly see it. Anything you want to ask, Pilamani, please ask. Then the next class will be okay.
Ma'am, full form of IPR?
IPR, Intellectual Property Rights.
Ma'am.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I think class will going to start. I will leave. Thank you so much. We will meet in the class next class.
Thank you, ma'am.
गुड मॉर्निंग विश्व सर मैं आपन को होस्ट कर देची
ओके थैंक यू मो वॉइस आସୁଛି ତ
हाँ सर ओके थैंक यू सर